Why? You scared?
No.
It's just that halogen light over there. It's been flickering all day.
Oh.
Layers of Fear is an indie narrative horror game that pulls out all the stops when it comes to a classic haunted mansion experience.
Yes, although it's combined with one of my favorite video game pastimes. Rifling through other people's stuff to try and figure out more about them. Oh, someone's got a drinking problem. And I love the mixed bag of excitement this offers. Sometimes clues, juicy letters or old photographs. Sometimes plates. But it's all very creepy, even the plates.
Yeah, it's textbook spooky house. The game sets the scene with a kind of Dorian Gray-inspired mystery surrounding a tortured artist and a concealed painting.
Once you've lain eyes on the canvas, your own tortured nightmare begins. Along with the paint-by-numbers cavalcade of haunted house cliches. Yes, this is one of those games where you walk into a room and then you turn around and... Ah! Oh, okay.
This is the main mechanic of the game. Finding your way through this nightmare is basically trying different doors, wandering through ever-changing rooms, or waiting for certain events to trigger some new path for you to follow. And it gets super twisted and very strange.
I mean, I have to hand it to them. There are a lot of horror tropes packed into this experience. Things appearing out of nowhere, furniture flying around, bouncing ball, creepy dolls, and of course the odd faint sound of crying. The list goes on.
And while some of it feels a bit cheap and heavy-handed, there are some legitimately terrifying moments. There are a few jump scares and sections that will see you fearing the worst.
Yeah, except you never do really, because unlike a game like Amnesia, for example, where there are legitimate monsters and threats in the environment, this is very much a passive game with no real enemy encounters or danger. So after a while you get the gist of how this all goes and the scariness starts to lose impact.
I think the formula of finding the items to unlock the main clues plays into that as well. Once I realized I had to unlock 6 of these cabinet doors and that each run through this house was going to be more or less the same sort of thing, I felt myself finding this less scary and more tedious. You are pulled along by the mystery of the painting and the story though, I think.
Yeah, and towards the latter half of the game there are some more puzzles for you to solve. But they're pretty rudimentary, just finding numbers in the environment to unlock doors, that sort of thing. But I agree, after that third major clue I started to get that feeling of, is this it?
Yeah, about halfway through it really does lose the ability to surprise you.
Yeah, and some of the puzzles involved trying to, trigger the next event that would change the room around so that you can continue.
Yeah, like turn around, walk the other way, and that changes the action that plays out.
Yeah, but then that just made me think of that playable teaser or, PT for that Silent Hill game that was never released. And I thought that seemed to do that kind of thing a lot better. And a lot scarier. But in this, sometimes the event wouldn't trigger right away or it would just take ages. So you're kind of just wandering around trying to make something happen.
I still really like that room-changing mechanic though, and yes, it does get predictable after a while, but it's still unsettling. Just that feeling of never knowing what's going to be behind you when you turn around. If you could combine this game with something like Amnesia, now that would be brilliant.
So true. All in all, for me, I really loved all of those, classic horror tropes, but I just think the mechanic was a little too labored, and I found myself just wishing it would all be over a bit more quickly. It really just needed more variety in there.
Yeah, I don't know, I think the story is interesting and macabre enough to pull you through. And it does start to ramp up towards the end as it gets more twisted and abstract. What are you giving it, Hex?
I'm giving it 2.5 out of 5.
I'm giving it 3 stars.
All right, tea break?
Yes, and a biscuit.
Yes.
That's weird.
What the?
First, I looked for a canvas. Not just any canvas.